What's up, fellow Lords of Gaming, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Fight. Today I want to jump in and give you guys the lowdown on the newest bit of meat and potatoes to Marvel Future Fight, which is Giant Boss Raid. Now, the reason why I say that Giant Boss Raid is the meat and potatoes and not the Tier 4 advancement is because, in truth, the Tier 4 advancement is a nice bump in power for the game, meaning that now the power dynamic changes and we push the goalpost a little bit further for what characters will become, could become, and should be able to do. But that's not the meat and potatoes. Much like inside Marvel Future Revolution, where we get the introduction of Scarlet Witch, we almost hit a 2-week period out, and that character is not enough to sustain a player base because what we ultimately are looking for is content that player can be played in. So for instance, if they gave us Tier 4 and there was no reason to have a character at Tier 4, meaning there's no content to challenge a Tier 4, then the Tier 4 would make a lot less sense and a lot less players would be seeking to get to that Tier 4. However, with the new content rollout, they've basically updated some of the content. Even prior to this update, we had content where there was a need for new power levels. If you played World Boss Legends, Mephisto Null, and especially Ultron, you would notice at some point inside the game, whether you got to stages like 40 and above, that the power levels started to seem like they capped out, which means that you needed a new room to grow. So the only way they could do that is either grow the characters innately or grow the characters through some other mechanism, like selling you CTPs, selling you some new mechanic that beefs up the character. Giving you a Tier 4 is a way to beef up those characters, so now we can start adding characters to the pool that are going to be able to complete those that content. The fact that we got, along with the Tier 4, the new development in Giant Boss Raid Dormammu, who is, it's content that you could realistically complete as a solo player, but the screwed up part is that you won't have access to some of the rewards as a solo player. The rewards get better depending on the number of players that you have inside the team, which means that you yourself, you're probably going to want to have, if you're going to plan on doing it and carrying other players so that way you can have access, you're going to want to get to those Tier 4 characters, those really, really special transcendent and Tier 3 characters. That's going to be the heart of it. So let me give you some tips on how to play this game mode and some real bit of advice for a lot of the community. Here's the truth. Half of you, whether you have T3 characters that can play the content, shouldn't be playing the content, because just because you have a character that is at T3 doesn't mean that that character is reflective of Tier 3. I have tried to do this mode in the lobby because I don't have a friends list that is as cultivated and mature as I thought it was. I don't have an alliance that is as active and mature as I thought it was. And that is something that this content has revealed, because jumping in here, I've played with characters who have had Tier 3 Iron Man, Tier 3, Scarlet Witches, Tier 3 Doctor Stranges. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of you don't know how to play your characters, meaning you don't know the roles for the characters, the rotations for the characters. You don't seem to understand, it's weird. I've seen players jump in here with like a full outfitted Doctor Strange, for instance, right? And the characters don't, they're still not doing the damage that they have. Advice tip: if you don't know the rotation for the character and you're playing and you're seeing that you're not having some kind of damage output, go over here to this website, $21,000.com/rotations, or just type in Marvel Future Fight rotations and it'll pop up inside your Google playlist. And it'll have literally all of the rotations for characters and their current costumes or previous costumes inside here. It's important that you know rotations for your characters so that way you can actually play the characters. Outside of the rotation for your characters, so that way you're maximizing damage, the next thing is that you've actually got the characters built correctly. If you don't have characters built correctly, then you're never going to do damage even if you know the rotations properly. So for instance, if I'm playing Doctor Strange and I'm coming inside here and I don't have Uru that's equipped for energy-based characters instead of physical-based characters, you don't necessarily need to have Odin's Blessings to complete this content. You don't have all your skills maxed out. You don't necessarily need to have your type enhancement. You don't have ESO 8, which is going to be, leveled up and fully activated at stage 12. You don't necessarily need artifacts. Let me get out of here. You have custom gears that literally reflect that character's ability to do things, whether they're CTPs or just straight up obelisks, because you can still use obelisks for a lot of characters, especially characters like Doctor Strange. You have uniforms that are actually created, they're actually leveled up to mythic level, but they're actually fulfilled out inside here as well, meaning that they have the proper stats. So that way, if I go inside your T3 character and I look at the details, I should at the very minimum see ignore defense, cooldown duration, crit rate, dodge, things like this maxed out. These are stats that we should be looking at that should be maxed out for every account. Ignore defense, cooldown duration, crit rate, dodge for multiple characters. These should at the bare minimum be maxed out. If you don't have that, then something's not really built right with your character. Just think about that in a whole. Like, that is just one of the tips that I have in here. So if you're not able to do that for your characters, you might want to just go back to playing Galactus or Master Mold. You might not be ready for Dormammu. You don't even need to have necessarily great cards. Like, I'm going to point out to you, inside my account, I'm only dealing an additional 13% pierce damage, and I don't have great cards. Like, for instance, probably 2 or 3 of my cards inside here, Spider-Man, well, Spider-Man's a good card, Black Panther, the 2 Black Panther cards, this Black Panther is probably pretty good, could be removed from my account in order to improve them overall. I don't have a fully maxed out Luna Snow card for, you know, pierce damage. You can see my All Avengers card. While I liked it, it's probably not one of the better cards that you have in there, but I like it, you know what I mean? I don't have that one maxed out inside here. I don't even have my Black Panther that is, you know, not good card in here maxed out either, along with my Spider-Man to get those, you know, pierce damage. So it's not like I'm fully maxing out a whale account here where I've got like 25% pierce damage, but I can jump inside this lobby and I can definitely do my bit of help. Now, like I said, unfortunately, my friends list and my friends list and my alliance aren't that strong, and this content has revealed that to me, and that's an unfortunate. But the most unfortunate thing is that the lobby is really bad. Looking at some of the characters and people that are trying to join with some of the teams, you automatically can see that people are playing inside here without having actual accounts that they should be. I'm going to try to play with these 2 guys, Max Stark Marvel and Bucky Barnes. So let's go with Max Stark Marvel and Bucky Barnes. I'm going to try to remember those names so that way at the end of this, I can kind of show you guys what their accounts looks like and, you know, do a comparison's sake. But I want to take a look at the damage numbers that is going to be put over here, because by all intents, you would think that Max Stark Marvel and Bucky Barnes, they should be able to complete this content as 3 players with pretty decent information going off inside here. Now I'm going to pop this up just for a minute so that way we can look at the beginning damage numbers that are coming out here to see whether or not Bucky Barnes and Max Stark Marvel are doing their damage properly. So I'm going to try to remember these names, Max Stark Marvel and Bucky Barnes. Okay. So now, unfortunately, we have to wait through this to see, you know, we're probably having connection issues with people, but let's jump inside here. All right, so I'm gonna give you guys some tips inside here. Red icons on the floor, they're pretty easy to dodge and mitigate and not have to worry about them. It's the purple that you have to worry about. So Bucky Barnes automatically left the team inside here. Unfortunately, right? So now when that purple comes and he has that sweeping attack, it's definitely something that you want to pay attention to, because you do not want to be in that purple. It will literally whittle down a character and all but kill him. So please be aware of that. The reds, like I said, you won't take a lot of damage from them. They're easy to avoid. You can kind of use that first red as a barometer for where that purple attack is going to come from, because it's almost like a trigger. It's not until about halfway through the first stage of battle that you'll really notice that they start trying to trick you with that attack, because it's going to always be this way in the first side. The red will pop up and then the purple will show. So it's like a nice telltale from what side the action is actually happening. So like I said, you can see here the red doesn't necessarily matter at all. It's not really doing as much damage to me at all as possible, right? So the red is there, and then you can be sure that the purple is going to come, move toward that side. Really simple mechanic there, right? It seems like a lot, but it's not. Now, I want you to pay attention to what I was telling you about. Not all characters and not all accounts are created equal, and not all players necessarily need to be involved in this game mode, even if they have T3 characters that look like they should be able to complete the content. If you look at Max Stark Barnes, Max Stark Marvel, who's inside here, you'll automatically notice that he's not doing anything. This is basically a solo run by me. He's doing 2% of the damage that is currently going on. We're halfway through this. Oh shit, get out of there from that angle. So we're gonna have that red, and then you're gonna go see the purple go across as well. See that? It's really not that difficult. It's nice, fun, engaging content that you have to pay attention to, but it's really not overall that difficult. Like you could if you have 3 good players that got characters built up really well, you can complete this in probably like 3 to 5 minutes. I've actually completed it once, I think it was. I gotta get out of here. I don't remember where I was at, so I got lost inside of it. I'm gonna switch over and run over here to this side. Unfortunately, I got lost inside of what was going on there. All right, we'll switch over. Now, so now I gotta be careful because I've got my Doctor Strange involved in this. Here goes the part where you want to be careful. You notice the character stayed over there. Switch out from there if you're really worried about anything. But these orbs are not the same as the Galactus orbs. You need to be avoiding these orbs at all costs. Excuse me. And we're back to the basics. After that orb comes, now is the part where it's going to change up a little bit, because the red is going to come, but it's not always necessarily going to be from that side. So you're going to want to switch, because it's going to go 1, 2 to the next side, and that's where the purple might come from. It's really, really weird when he starts doing it on that one, because he starts trying to play the little tricks on you, so that way you don't necessarily know what's going on. I'm going to get rid of that. You guys can see Max Stark is not doing any damage inside here. And again, still, the red's not doing any real damage to you. There's not a lot of damage that's going. So notice the red pops up and is there, but then this one comes and is there. Now you might get tricked and you run to this side, and then there it goes. All right, so we're there. Boom. It's a fake lore, right? So this would be really good. You could do this with 2 players, as I'm pointing out. If Max Stark Marvel was doing maybe 50% of the damage and I was doing 50% of the damage, we'd be good. And I know we're not going to complete this, because at this point, it's easier to do damage towards Dormammu while he's in this stage and try to, cap out. But the problem is, switch. But the problem is that when you get him down to his second phase, all pierce damage is halved. So that's going to create a bit of an issue, because that means that now I'm basically looking at trying to complete that damage myself. Now, if I was on like a whale tier level account, I could probably maybe mitigate that, but I can't. Like, that's just the truth of the matter. Oh shit, my Doctor Strange is dead. Yeah, so now I'm definitely not going to complete this, because my biggest damage dealer in here would have been Doctor Strange. I don't have my Moonstone built up as well, so we'll let this run out and I'll just pass away from here. So there you guys can see basically what was happening there. I was doing the majority of damage. We had Max Stark Marvel and Bucky Barnes sitting there, and they couldn't do anything in the game mode. They weren't really helping. They were essentially being carried, right? Now, Max Stark Marvel had a really good looking lineup in terms of the team that he was bringing, but he wasn't actually doing very much damage. The question is why? Let's take a look at that. So what we want to look at is Max Stark Marvel. This is the character I was jumping in here. Now, automatically, I can already look at his, agent level. He's only level 94, and I can tell that there's probably going to be a bit of some stuff off. That doesn't necessarily say that this player hasn't been playing the game for enough time or whatever, but it is an indicator to me that maybe everything's not going to be there as it should be, right? So this was his main lineup that he had going in. Now he's got a tier 3 Captain America, tier 3 Iron Man, and a tier 3 Black Widow. By all accounts, I would suspect that, his Iron Man at the very minimum should probably be doing a lot of the damage and be his initial output. Let's see how well his character is built. So inside here, we got Max Stark Marvel. Okay, so first off, he's got an ESO 8 set of tough body. Why? There's no reason for you to have a tough body ISO 8 set inside of the game. You're currently using the superior Iron Man uniform when there's a clearly better option inside of the Back to Basics Iron Man uniform that is going to give him infinitesimally more power. He does have all his options maxed out here. And look at this. I want you to pay attention to this. He's got Uru galore on all of his characters. This is nothing but Odin's blessings on every single one of his uniforms. So he's going all in on this character. He's got a CTP of destruction, so maybe that's the reason why he has tough body, because he's maybe like trying to play between PvP and PvE. I don't know why you would be doing that with this character, but it is what it is. So you can look at this character, and I would say by all estimations, if I was to look at where this character was, he's type enhancement rank 6. His uniform is mythic. He's ISO 8, not really well built out. He's got Odin's blessings galore inside of here. So no matter what you say, this is even better than my Doctor Strange because everything is there, right? He's at 25 for all these. He's got an artifact on there. The artifact's not necessarily doing anything, but that's essentially the look of his character. So why then is Iron Man not doing good enough damage inside his superior Iron Man uniform inside the game? Most likely this comes to player skill, where we're looking at, is the character running the proper rotation in order to do as much damage output? He was literally only doing 2%. Let's take a look at his Captain America inside. Okay, so we're looking at his tier 3 Captain America. This is the ISO 8 set that he has inside here, where's the set bonus Angel of Death. He's literally got 2 and 3 and 4, whatever the fuck is going on here, my guy, I have no clue. But then we look at his we look at his skills inside here, and we can basically see the problem, right? This is the Urus that we have inside here. We've got energy attack Urus. Yeah, there's energy attack Urus listed for a physical attack character. Pay attention to that. We've got energy attack Urus on a physical attack character. Captain America, just because you see the energy stuff on him, doesn't make him an energy-based character. That's not how that works. He's still a physical-based character. His Black Widow, clearly not built either. We've got like weird-ass shit on here. Physical defense. We've got energy attack Urus, again, on a physical attack character. Those are not helping you in any shape, form, or way. They're just not. That's not a proper build to a character to be taken inside of a game mode like Dormammu. And this is going to be the problem that's going to prevent a lot of players from clearing that content. And obviously the only way that I'm going to be able to do that is that I'm going to have to find new players and cull my player list. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to probably try to get a little bit in-depth video for you guys on stuff. Giant Boss Raid is definitely going to be a lot of fun content, and I think once players start figuring out, you know, the builds and everything like that necessary to complete, and they understand how to level it up, because, you know, if we're able to jump inside a co-op where players are able to do a good amount of damage, like, you know, even if I was doing, you know, 70% and I had Max Marvel doing 30%, and you know, Bucky Barnes in there doing 20%, it would probably been enough to complete the content. But right now, with one player doing all of the damage, and you've got players literally in there like doing 2%, 1%, I can't tell you enough how many times that has been in there. And so like that has happened where I try to do a lobby play with players, and that's what's happened, where it's not, there's nothing happening at all on the other two players, and it's basically carry. This would have been acceptable on Master Mold. At some point it became acceptable on Galactus, but it's no longer acceptable at this point in the game. You know what I mean? Like at Dormammu stages right now where we are, it's not acceptable. Maybe once there are a lot of tier 4 Iron Mans out there, or even tier 3 level 80 Iron Mans out there that are joining in on the game modes and actually knowing how to use the uniforms and stuff like that, maybe. But at this point where we are in the game, there's not really a lot of room for players to be looking to get carried inside that game mode. These are players that, like I said, not all tier 3s are equal. And just because you have an Iron Man, a Captain America, and a Black Widow that looks like they're tier 3, then they should be capable of completing the content. They're not, because the builds on them are pretty bad. So take a gander for what you guys have to say about that. Leave a comment section in the comments below. But do something better about creating your account and know where you actually are in the game. Some of you are jumping inside Dormammu thinking that you should be able to complete that content, and you're getting pissed off because you're not able to, but you're not really looking yourself in the mirror and be like, you're not ready for that content. At the end of the day, Dormammu Giant Boss Raid is released for veteran level players. You've been playing this game and you've got a mature account. You don't even have to have a fully whale account. You just have to have a mature account in order to complete the content. That's different. Right now, a lot of you are not at that mature account level to be playing that content, and you really need to be honest with yourself about that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, peace.